Welcome, guys. Welcome in. Welcome in. Come on, bring it in. Football is back in full swing, everybody. I hope you're as excited as me and Peyton are. Peyton's going to join us in a few seconds, but welcome to the weekend wrap up with the Sportaholics. I'm your host, Russ. Like I said, the handsome guy that's going to be joining me later is Peyton. He's the expert. And today it's a tragic Tuesday. We talk tragedy across the board for college football and week 2 college football and NFL week 1. Today you're gonna hope we're not talking about your football team. With that being said, all of that and more on the other side of the intro. Let's get it. Peyton, welcome, bro. How you doing today?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. I'm ready to get another show under our belt.
Yes,
how are you doing, man?
Man, I complain. It's been a long day, but that's how it goes. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk some football and kind of talk about all the tragedy that we've seen this weekend.
There was a ton of tragedy for teams on both levels, the college and pro levels. So we got to address it, no doubt.
Yes, sir. But before we do that, tell me about your weekend. How was it, man?
Well, as you know, I was a little under the weather this weekend, but it didn't stop me. I just took some vitamin C, drank some tea. I kept the ball rolling, watched all the football I could. So it was a pretty good weekend overall. How about yours?
Same, bro. Same. I watched a lot of football this weekend, but that's how all my weekends are gonna go for the next 20 weeks. So I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, man. We closed the weekend off with the Monday Night Football game last night, and that was also a tragedy. Or was it? I mean, Aaron Rodgers. He completed his first game as a Jets quarterback, so congratulations to him. But we're not doing too much congratulating tonight.
No,
not at all.
By the way, Russ, when do the WNBA playoffs start? Isn't that starting sometime soon?
The first round starts September 22nd.
Okay, so we're just a couple weeks out.
We are a couple weeks away, man, and we're definitely going to talk some WNBA when the playoffs start. But right now we just wrapped up in all the excitement of the football season being back. It's been a long summer, man. We had the Olympics. We had the Olympics that carried us through the summer, but by all means, like everything else, man, we are happy to be back.
You hit the nail on the head right there.
Yes, sir. So let's go ahead and jump into it, Peyton. Let's not keep the people waiting. That rhymed, and I didn't mean to do that on purpose. But with that being said, let's go ahead and talk Texas, Michigan. Texas went into the big house. They didn't even knock on the door. They just kicked that thing down. And the crazy part about it is Michigan saw them coming through the Ring doorbell, and they still couldn't stop them. Quentin Ewers was in that thing cooking. He made the whole team breakfast, and he made the biggest bowl of cereal for himself. By all means, they defeat Michigan 31-12. What were some of your takeaways from that game?
Man, I really thought that was a tough spot for Michigan, first and foremost. I mean, Texas has it rolling as a program right now. I know Michigan was at home, but there was a reason Texas was a 7.5-point favorite. I didn't see that coming. I thought the game would be a little tighter and a little closer. But when you think about all the new faces that Michigan has, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that was just a tough spot for them in general. That was my first takeaway. And you hit it on the head, too. Quinn Ewers looked comfortable, man. And I know you like to use that word when it comes to quarterback play. But stepping up in the pocket, throwing with touch down the field, he was doing it all. Is he not arguably the best quarterback in the country at the moment? I mean, he looked spectacular.
Hey, bro, I'm not going to lie. With that game and how dominant he played, you can go ahead and write him as the the top pick for the Heisman right now. Last week we talked about two potential Heisman candidates on the same team, and we'll get to them later. But by all means, like Quinn Ewers, he showed me enough, and right now I have him at the top of the list for the Heisman candidate.
Yeah, because we always knew he had the physical tools. It was just a matter of putting it all together from head to toe. And like he's gotten in better shape. He's obviously got the experience now. So it's really coming together for him. But yeah, that was, I also wanted to say this. I still think Michigan has a lot ahead of them on the season. I still think they can put together a respectable season. That was just a tough spot in general.
No, 100%, 100%. It's a long way to go, and there are talks of two lost teams, three lost teams making it into the playoffs. So as long as Michigan finds a way to fight back from this loss and not hold their heads too much, I think they can, they can find a way in. What I will say is they lost a lot in the offseason, and due to the draft or due to graduation, whatever the case may be. But so did Texas, right? So there's really no excuse there. I think one team just did it a lot better than the other, and Sarkisian, he out there looking like baby Saban, right? He said, I took notes in all the meetings, coach, and don't worry, your legacy lives on through me.
Hey, that's a great point. And that's one other thing that I wanted to hit on. I mean, and you just said it, like the play calling was damn near perfect. They knew early on in the game, kind of like I was talking about, they weren't going to be able to just line it up and run the ball all game. So they utilized the RPO game. They passed on early downs. They were ready to go.
So you did mention that Michigan has an opportunity to bounce back from this. So I guess the ultimate question, Peyton, would be, is Michigan that bad, or was Texas just that good?
Oh, I think it's more about Texas being that good. Michigan has a lot of work to do, but Texas is just in a groove right now. It's about them being that good.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think Michigan, like you said, they have a lot of work to do, but they got to find their identity. Because whatever they were throwing at Texas last week, and it doesn't get much better once they get into conference play. Like it's not going to get any easier. So by all means, they got to figure out an identity. Their quarterback situation is going to be a big question mark for moving forward in the rest of the season. So they have, like you said, a lot of work to do.
But it's not done yet.
It's not. Yeah. And what I will say about both programs is, where do you go from here, right? Like not only this season, but after this season. Where are they going to take the programs? And Texas is going to lose a lot in the offseason. I think Michigan is kind of, and it showed it was on display this past Saturday, but they are in a growing phase. They are in a new era without having Jim Harbaugh there, without having their quarterback. They lost the quarterback, the running back last year. So by all means, I think this is two different sides of the spectrum here for two different programs. So I'm not gonna say Michigan is that bad, but they did look bad. But it was because Texas made them look that bad. So yeah, I that's that. There's not much to say about that. They got their butts whooped. All right, they was belt the butt all game long. From the start of the game to the end of the game, they didn't have a chance. So let's talk some more college football here. Colorado, Nebraska.
Yeah,
my God, this was a revenge game, right? And this one did not fail. Like I said before, Nebraska had belt the butt from the first whistle all the way to the last horn as well. They didn't come to play no games. They didn't leave any questions on the table. This was a great game. What were some of your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, man, we were watching the game together, and I know I pointed out that I wanted to see Colorado utilize more of the quick passing game, but I tell you what, I don't know how much you can game plan around that Colorado offensive line right now. And the biggest problem was there was pressure right up the middle, and you pointed that out when we were watching the game together, man. there's not much you can do when you're talking about point A to point B from the center to the quarterback, and there's pressure in your face in 1.5 seconds. So as much as I wanted them to put Travis Hunter on a hitch to the outside and get the ball out quick, I don't know. There was no game planning for that. And I was looking forward to a bit of a shootout, but Nebraska's defense had other ideas, man.
You and I both. And that, what's crazy? This week 2 in college football and week 1, there was a lot of unpredictables that happened out there. And it's just crazy. Like me and you both, we were sitting there, we're like, bro, we did not expect this at all. But my biggest takeaway from this game was Shedeur needs to go in the meeting room and slap the heck out of all his linemen. Like that's my biggest that is my biggest takeaway. Like they only have a few standout ballers on that team. But it don't matter if Shedeur can't get the ball to him.
Yeah.
So right now they got to figure out, and I don't even know if there's a way for them to figure it out, but they have to do something with that offensive line. Not only that, but the defense, they playing on their heels the whole time. They're trying to catch tackles, and they really don't seem ready. And I hate to put this on Coach Prime, but there's talks of him potentially getting out of Colorado, so on and so forth. But I don't know if the grass is going to be greener on the other side if he can't figure out ways to go through adversity, especially with this Colorado team. I'm very surprised that the recruiting isn't as good as it should be, knowing the personality that Coach Prime is.
Yeah, and to back Coach Prime a little bit, man, we talked about this in a previous episode. This was a tough lift to begin with. Like we had talked about, this was arguably the worst Power 4 or Power 5 team in the country 2 years ago. So this is only year 2. I mean, who knows if he ends up staying or not, but we just got to remember that this was a program that was at the bottom. I mean, the bottom. So
yeah,
it was a tough spot for them, like I said, with Michigan too, but yeah, they got to get better. And the other thing is, with the offensive line, there were some concerning signs in their first game against North Dakota State, but I figured they've got a little bit of extra time because they played on Thursday. Typically, that unit takes a little bit of time to gel, so maybe they'll look better. Well, they didn't look better at all, man, on that front.
Yeah, no, and I don't really want to get all, chalky about this game, but this team, they just look bad. Like at the end of the day, they struggled with North Dakota State. They didn't show up against Nebraska. This team it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work at the end of the day. But on the opposite side of the ball, or the opposite side of the field, they got baby Pat Nebraska Tebow, and I call him that because he mentioned that he wears number 15, not for Pat Mahomes, but for Tim Tebow, right? I smell cap, but I digress. This freshman quarterback, he didn't have eye-popping stats, but he didn't turn the ball over, and he did manage the game pretty well. So what did you think about Dylan Raiola?
Yeah, I think you just pointed it out. I believe he realized what type of game he was in early on, and he was feeding off of that defense, and he was probably just figuring, well, I don't want to make this a game. Like, let's let the defense roll, and I'm just going to do my part on offense, and if spectacular is needed, I can do that. So, yeah, that's a great point you just made. I mean, he just let the game come to him.
100%, man, and I think it's kind of up for them. If you go ahead and look at their schedule, they have a bunch of games that they can potentially win. And I guess the 2 toughest games on their schedule would be Ohio State and USC. So we're going to see where Nebraska falls towards the end of this season. But they got a couple layups coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good for college football because the guy we were just talking about is really fun and exciting to watch. So if they're viable down the stretch, that's going to make for some good football for sure.
He's definitely going to have to break away from that Pat Mahomes comparison because those are big shoes to fill. And, as a freshman quarterback, I don't know if – I'm not going to say he doesn't want that pressure or that smoke, but I think that he needs to become his own man. And it's good to look up the quarterbacks, but you got to take what they do and make it your own at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. Huge shoes to fill.
Oh, for sure. But okay, Peyton, it wouldn't be right to do a tragic Tuesday if we didn't talk about the biggest tragedy in college football this past weekend. Notre Dame, oh my gosh, they fall to Northern Illinois 16-14. Did you see that coming?
To answer shortly, no shot. No, I did not see it coming.
Man, so we have these conversations every week. You can catch us every week on Tuesdays and Fridays at 7:30 right here on YouTube, or if you're watching us on Instagram, make sure you follow the page at the Sportaholics. That's a shameless plug. But back to the football. I feel like Notre Dame, they were very comfortable after their win at Texas A&M, and they kind of slept on Northern Illinois, just like America. Like nobody expected the number 5 ranked team in college football to lose to an unranked opponent in Northern Illinois, but I think going back to what I always talk about, this is a game that was circled on Northern Illinois' schedule, and they were prepared, and it showed from the start of the game.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like a broken record talking about the quarterbacks, but Notre Dame's quarterback didn't have his best day. He turned the ball over at timely points of the game. So, I mean, second quarter, fourth quarter, when they had the lead.
A fun fact, Riley Leonard has more turnovers than touchdowns this season. Okay? He has yet to throw a touchdown this season. So that is not a good look. If I'm not mistaken, he transferred from Duke, correct?
He did.
Yeah, so this was an upgrade in program for him. For the program, it was kind of a downgrade at the quarterback position, if you ask me.
Man, and I just thought about this, but that's the second example that we've seen where a quarterback transfers in, and you, even with a great offensive mind, like a Mike Denbrock, who's the offensive coordinator for Notre Dame, or the other example I was thinking of, DJU, who actually had a pretty good season with Oregon State going to Mike Norvell. It's a tough ask when there's no preseason, there's limited amount of practices during the spring. You're talking about the quarterback coach combination and how quickly that can gel. Sometimes it just doesn't work as smoothly as we anticipate.
100%, man. Now I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame kind of straightens up their act after this game. That was the biggest wake-up call. Like, you know how when you sleep in the morning and you got to go to work and your alarm clock goes off and you snooze it 17 times before you got to get up? This ain't one of those. This ain't one of those for Notre Dame. Like, they got to wake up on the first ring. All right, they don't have any room for error moving down the line in this season. They are not in a conference, so they don't get the automatic bid if they win a conference championship game. So they have to go. Honestly, losing to Northern Illinois kind of puts them on the outs of the playoff contentions, if that makes sense. I think
the only way they're safe is if they win the rest of their games. Even if they're 10-2 with a loss like that, I could see them getting left out, especially because they don't play on conference championship weekend. I think that's a great point.
I think even if they win all of their games, they're going to have to win those games in dramatic, not even dramatic, they're like blowout fashion. Like, they're going to have to beat teams by at least 2 touchdowns. Like, that's the only way. They have to be dominant moving forward in order for the playoff committee to even think about Notre Dame. Like, because this right here, I know it's very current, but this is going to be on everybody's mind for a long time. No matter who they beat.
Part of their resume.
Exactly. But major props to Northern Illinois for coming in that game, man, and showing out. Like, I think there was a point in that game where NIU and everybody that was watching the game knew that they had a chance to win. And you know how I feel about my underdogs. I'm like, man, like, okay, so I have to let the people know I did have money. I did have money on Notre Dame.
Yep.
But after a while, I didn't even care no more. I just wanted to see NIU. I just wanted to see the number 5 team go down. I wanted to see Notre Dame go down because what a heck of a story it is for that school. They have never beaten a top 5 ranked team before. This was the first time that they were on national television. So, like, man, like the way that this landscape is shaping up is crazy, Peyton. Like the way that this season is unfolding, and it's only week 2. Like it's crazy how it's unfolding right here.
Oh yeah, you're right about that, man.
So, just a couple more things about Northern Illinois. They look faster. They look stronger. They look better coached than Notre Dame. I think that goes back to the comfortability level that they had after a big win in week 1.
Yeah, and you know what else, man? If you go back and watch the highlights of that game, Notre Dame is in a ton of 3rd and longs. Like you're talking about 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. I think Northern Illinois just committed to stopping the run and said Riley Leonard beat us.
So now that you mentioned that, the last 4 drives of the game, right, when they had an opportunity to win, but they go 3 and out, interception, and then the blocked field goal. So, like, to your point, like they had a lot of chances to actually pull ahead in that game. But this is the point that I really want to make, and you know how I feel about the transfer portal and everything like that. This is a veteran team, right? NIU, they're hosting 32 seniors on their team this year, right? And this is a game that they needed all of that camaraderie to pull that out, because on paper, Notre Dame was supposed to be the most superior team, right? So to those seniors, no matter what happens for the rest of the season, that made their season. That's going to go down in the history books at Northern Illinois. That they're going to forever be etched in history when it comes to this season and that win. And if you can beat a Notre Dame, you can honestly beat anybody, to be honest with you, unless Notre Dame is that bad. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. And I did want to compare Notre Dame to 2 teams that we've seen struggle so far this season. And that was FSU, who struggled against Georgia Tech, who is now out of the top 25, and also Boston College, who pokes their head in the top 25. Not only that, Northern Illinois, because of this win, poked their head in the top 25, sitting at 25 right now. But we've seen Alabama struggle against USF for the most part of that game. The score will not show how close of a game that was. Like I told you offline, I went to sleep. I went to sleep. It was a close game. Like it was like a 1 touchdown game. And then I woke up, they were up 44 to whatever the final score was. I'm like, how did that happen? It was the middle of the 4th quarter. But we wouldn't expect USF, Georgia Tech, and Boston College to beat NIU. I mean, we could expect them to beat NIU on a good day, but this right here for Notre Dame is just I don't understand how they.
Hey man, you said they snoozed through the game, and there were times where they almost wrapped up the running back for a tackle, but he broke loose. You know, so that's a good example of kind of thinking ahead, thinking you've got everything squared away, but then the other team's just fighting hard.
Yes. Real quick, and totally off topic. It just kind of came to my mind, right? So, like I said before, Northern Illinois pokes his head in the top 25 at 25. Notre Dame falls from 5 to 19, and Michigan falls to 18. Do you think that these are proper placements for these schools?
Oh, that's a good question.
Notre Dame from 5 to 19, Michigan from 10 to 18, and NIU from unranked to 25, while beating the number 5 team in the nation.
Yeah, that's tough to say. It's almost like the AP poll is doubling down and saying, well, they had a bad day, but we're still going to keep these teams ranked. You know what I mean? So,
Yep.
At least it's so early on that it doesn't matter too much, and we're going to find out here pretty soon within the next month, where these teams should really be ranked. But yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Like, how good is Notre Dame really? I mean, we don't know how good Texas A&M is, who is the opponent that Notre Dame beat in week 1. So yeah, you raise a good question there.
Yeah. Okay. So you didn't ask me for my opinion, but I'm gonna give it to you anyways. But I think. Okay. I guess I got a better question before I give you my opinion. Will Georgia Tech beat NIU in a game?
I guess it depends on how the schedule sets up, but I would take Georgia Tech. I would take Georgia Tech personally.
I think we all would take Georgia Tech, and you're not wrong for making that pick. But NIU has speed. But the only reason I'm asking that is because Georgia Tech jumped up to 23 when they beat Florida State. So 25 is kind of like just. They just kind of gave it to them at the end of the day. They're like, okay, well, hey, 25 is available. Let's just put NIU in there, right? But I feel like they deserve to be a little bit higher, maybe at 23, somewhere around there. It doesn't really matter. It's still bottom of the top 25.
I see what you're saying. For the record, I mean,
yeah.
they played their tails off, and they showed some skill too. So,
No, I don't mean to cut you off, but Notre Dame at 19, I think they deserve to be somewhere around 21, 22, somewhere in there. Definitely out the top 20. And Michigan, they just ran into a juggernaut of a program, and I think they're actually too low. I think you can put them up a little bit higher, to be honest with you. Probably somewhere around 15. That 9 spots is crazy. 9 spots is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But let's talk some more tragedy. Moving on to the NFL. Caleb Williams won a game. I don't know. Did he win a game versus the Titans? What do you say about Caleb Williams and his performance this past weekend?
Yeah, so I didn't get to see this game in its entirety, but I did go back and watch the highlights. Just a few things that stood out. I think a couple of those bad habits that I had talked about before Caleb started playing real games in the NFL showed up in that he showed some signs of being inaccurate, particularly with the deep ball. I think he's fine to the short to intermediate areas, but when he throws the deep ball, he can be inaccurate at times. And then he also thinks he can evade pressure at any time, even if a defender has him dead to rights. So he took a couple of bad sacks. So those were always the 2 things that I worried about with Caleb. The deep ball accuracy and taking bad sacks. And although he only had 2 sacks, I think those happened at costly times during the game. But at the same time, this is probably going to be a bit of an anomaly. I mean, he threw for less than 100 yards. I don't see that happening much ever, if it even happens again. He'll get better, but this is kind of what both of us alluded to when we were talking about the preseason and how much you can take away, because we saw the spectacular. We didn't see too much spectacular on Sunday. So I still think he's going to get better. But yeah, those are 2 things to watch for with him.
This is not a way you want to come out the gate in your NFL debut. All right, he didn't throw for over 100 yards, which is crazy. They were down 17-0 at one point, and if it wasn't for the defense and the special teams, they would have been out of this game in the third quarter. So with that being said, Caleb Williams needs to buy everybody on that team Chick-fil-A breakfast biscuits because they deserve it, right? And not only that, he need to drop something special in the bag as well for them because my goodness, like without them, this game was a snooze fest for the Bears. And I'm gonna compare Caleb Williams to another quarterback who rushed 16 times in this game, and they both play the same backyard style, and that's Jaden Daniels. Like these are two quarterbacks that are gonna have to figure out how to sustain the top level as a quarterback in the NFL, and you can't be out here looking like that for Caleb Williams. And I do feel like he has room for improvement, like you said, but man, this is not how you want to come out the gate.
Yeah, no doubt.
Moving on to go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say is that they've got the Texans next week, so that could be pretty tough. And it's a primetime game. I think it's Sunday Night Football. Makes for a fascinating spot. I would take the Texans, and I'm sure they're favored, but we'll see what happens.
Another quarterback who finally finished his first game in his second season as the Jets quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. What did you think about Aaron Rodgers' performance?
Yeah, so not trying to deflect blame here. He could have played better himself, but I also don't think anyone came away from that game saying he played bad. I mean, he only attempted 21 passes. He did have the one interception that was thrown behind the receiver a bit, but there were also some dropped passes. And by the way, the 49ers just dominated time of possession. Every time I looked back at the game, it seemed like the 49ers had the ball. So to sum it up, I would say I expected the Jets to be a little more competitive, but all hope is not lost. The 49ers are obviously one of the best teams in the league, and they played like it. So, yeah.
It's kind of the same thing that happened to Michigan, right? Like nobody's saying that the Jets is a bad team, but they just happen to run into a team that's far more superior than they are, and it showed on the game tape. Now, what I will say is I believe that Aaron Rodgers was out there playing it safe, just wanting to get a game under his belt. But also, with that being said, he didn't have any help. Like, they got Garrett Wilson, who did his thing, Breece Hall, who did his thing, but they got Allen Lazard out there dropping passes. They didn't throw the ball to Conklin at all. I think for Robert Saleh and the Jets offense, like they have a long way to go. And I'm gonna just, I'm gonna just save that comment because I was about to say something that could possibly put my foot in my mouth a little bit later. So I'm gonna just hold that thought. But
hey, you sure? You can go ahead and shoot.
I'm just saying, like since you want to drag it out of me, right? I don't like Robert Saleh as a Jets coach, if that makes sense. Like he looks rugged. He looks like he knows what he's doing. I just think that team needs a different type of leadership. And I'm not in their practice facility or in their meeting room, so I don't know what goes on inside of that organization. But I feel like,
I think I will say this. I think in general, the Jets have put all of their eggs in one basket with Aaron. I mean, you probably saw the quote where Robert Saleh said, well, I'd rather be 0-1 with Aaron Rodgers than 1-0 without him. I mean, you don't need to say that. So to your point, I'm with you.
Man, listen, and what's crazy? Like they have set themselves up to be in a weird spot, right? Like, so I'm not wishing this on Robert Saleh or anything like that. So don't get it twisted. But I think if they don't have a good season this year, some questions are going to have to be answered about Robert Sala's future with the Jets organization. How is Aaron Rodgers going to feel about having a new coach come in on his last year of his contract? Is he going to try to play to 44, 45 years old? Like right now he's sitting at 40. Like, does he have 4 to 5 more years on under his belt? So like, I think they're in a weird situation, and some things in that game last night raised more questions than it gave answers, if that made sense. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But my goodness, Peyton, like the Jets look like the Jets that I actually want them to be. Like by all means, if that's what you're gonna bring out to every game, please keep that same energy when you bring it to the division. But I still got them going to the playoffs. So moving right along. Do you have anything else about the Jets that you want to talk about?
Nothing with the Jets, but I will say on the 49ers side of things, and I don't even know if I should go here, but there was a lot of talk over the offseason about how great Christian McCaffrey is, and he is great in his own right, and how influential he is on the 49ers offense. Man, they were moving the ball up and down the field, and he was on the sideline. And the undrafted running back had 150 yards and nearly 5 yards a carry. So all I'm saying is when I go on Twitter and see everybody banging on the Giants because they let go of Saquon Barkley, the Eagles have one of the best offensive lines in the league, and they like to run the ball. 20, 30, 40 other running backs in Saquon's situation could have scored 3 touchdowns as well. So I think we're just in this time where everybody likes to bag on somebody for a bad decision or what seems like a bad decision. That, the running back position is so unique. It's like, yes, I accept the fact that Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey are great. Are there 20, 30, 40 other guys that could be 80 to 90% of them? And that's why, the Chiefs have Isaiah Pacheco, who's a 7th rounder, contributing in a big way. That's all I'm trying to say there on the 49ers front.
I think that's a great comparison. Jordan Mason and Isaiah Pacheco, they seem like the same running back to me. And with that being said, they look like 2 guys that can get the job done regardless of what the situation is. Now, what I will say about Jordan Mason is he had a offensive line in front of him that was, my goodness, those holes were open. Like, my gosh. Like those holes were so wide open, you could fit trucks through them by any means. So I think it was great to see him take advantage of the situation. And also Kyle Shanahan and having trust in him, even though he probably didn't have any choice, but to have trust in him. But they kept feeding him the rock. Once they see him bust out those 8-yard runs, 9-yard runs, like, I think he had a couple 10-yard runs in there. So once they seen that happening, what did he carry the ball? He carried the ball.
I think it was
28 times.
Yeah,
he carried the ball 28 times in that game. Yeah. Those, like you said, to your point, those are CMC numbers.
By the way, how many yards did Breece Hall have? And Breece Hall is considered a top 3, top 4 running back. It's pretty situational.
He did look good. He finished the game with 16 carries and 54 yards. But we did see spurts. I think that because they were down, they had to pass the ball quite a bit. So his production was kind of halted because of those situations. Yeah. And he also had 5 catches for 39 yards. I almost put some money on Breece Hall having over 65 rushing yards throughout the whole game. Not only that, I almost put money on him having 25 rushing yards in the first half, and he didn't have that. So I'm glad that I saved my money and I stuck with my gut. We want some coin this weekend, Peyton.
Oh, I did, but I got to get it out to the people. We should have some type of a setup where when I live bet, it goes to the people. No, I don't know. Something like that.
No, don't follow me. Don't follow me or don't follow Peyton. We out here just putting our money in anything. But I hope everybody else had a great weekend. Peyton, any final words before we wrap it up today, man?
Man, just a quick shout out. If anyone's not doing anything this Friday night, just letting you know there's going to be a great college football game on. Again, I'm nerding out here because it's on a Friday night, but I don't really care. You've got two ranked teams between Arizona and Kansas State playing, two terrific quarterback talents between Noah Fafita and Avery Johnson. I'm going to be watching. No surprise, but I'm going to be watching.
Oh, I'm right there with you, Peyton. If you watching, I'm watching, brother. We in this thing together.
Yeah.
Any final remarks on the NFL season? Any other tragedies that we had this weekend?
Oh,
any tragedies we missed?
I can't think of any, but what about you? What say you?
Well, I don't think it's a tragedy because everybody predicted it, but the Panthers, PU. Ooh. Congratulations to you, your Saints. Hey, your Saints destroyed those guys.
Hey, man, we were feeling good from the jump.
You were feeling so good, I think you turned the game off at halftime.
Yeah.
Peyton does not turn football off, and he turned that game and put on another game.
Hey, I was hosting. I had to show a good game. I had to show something competitive.
Small note, nothing really to go in depth about, but tragedies that we didn't cover this weekend. In this show about this weekend. Russell Wilson, late scratch. What's up with that? CMC, they knew this man wasn't gonna play before the week was out. Jordan Mason put it out there. All right, like what's up with these guys, man? They're trying to hold all the information for as long as they can. Justin Fields, PU. All right, but they got the W. All right, so you can't PU him too bad. Anything else, Peyton? Anything else?
Man, nothing else. I guess I kind of had my rant on the whole running back topic, so that I think that wraps it up, bro.
No, it doesn't wrap it up, Peyton. It doesn't wrap it up. I'm gonna take a poke at you right here. The Jacksonville Jaguars, PU.
Oh,
PU.
So I don't want to bore anybody. I could go into depth on that game, but I will say that about your Dolphins, man. Y'all have one in Mike McDaniel now. Y'all should have had 10 points at halftime, and you had 7, or no, you should have had 17, I should say. But Tua overthrew Tyreek, and then he overthrew Berrios.
Well, first of all, I was screaming this the whole game. We do not throw to Braxton Berrios. I love the guy with all my heart, but no.
Wait, okay. But he got open.
We do not throw the ball to Braxton Berrios. We throw the ball to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. That's it. And we got to find some way to get Durham Smythe the ball. Like, this man was balling last year. We also got another tight end in River Craycraft. But I'm not gonna get all nerdy about my Dolphins. Like, I have high expectations for them. But gritty and grimy.
Hey, the last thing I'll say about the Dolphins is I think they have a two-headed monster, and that two-headed monster is Tyreek Hill and Mike McDaniel. That's really it for me, to be honest with you. They
honestly have like a 7-headed monster, but I digress. Whatever. They got a 7-headed monster, man.
Yeah, maybe so.
You want me to put names on it for you?
I think I could say the names too.
Go ahead.
Tyreek Hill, Jaden Waddle, Tua, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey, David Long. No?
Oh, that's a 14-headed monster, because I was thinking Mostert, Achane, Waddle, Hill, Tua, McDaniel. That's what I was thinking.
That makes sense. Those are good options too.
But I mean, if you want to add the defense to the mix, by all means, Ramsey's in there. But I am a little sketched about our defense. And I've always been that way. Like, on paper, we're supposed to be good, but whatever. We're talking too much about the Dolphins right now. We're going in too much. Way too much.
Don't worry, the Jags will bounce back. They'll be all right.
Yeah, it's more about the Jags than anything, man. More about the Jags than anything. PU. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I just want to poke fun at you. And if a couple of our friends are watching. I want to poke fun at them as well.
Oh yeah, I know where you're going with that.
Exactly. With that being said, man, you guys, if you're not already, please make sure that you leave a like on this video. Please make sure you comment, get in the conversation. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube at The Sportaholics. Follow us on Instagram. We are on X. We are on Facebook. Please join the conversation. Push the movement, man. The Sportaholics. For my guy here, Peyton, he's the expert. I'm the host, Russ. Until next time, peace out, man.
Peace out.
Good stuff, Peyton.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Love it.
Yo.